Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing installment of the Dead Air Podcast, audio edition. Here we are. We return. Myself and Blank in the building.
Oh, audio. Oh, I was trying to do Ohio, like Riz type of. I'm too old. I'm too old now to do this anymore. I'm not down. I'm not down with the lingo of the youth. This is problematic, Jackie. What do I do? All I have is lingo left. That's the only thing I can hold on to. And even now, it evades me.
Do you think that they would add the Duolingo bird to Deadlock as a playable hero?
Dude, that'd be good. He'd be good. I'd need him. I'd need him to be like, that's plus 500 aura for learning that lane call out right there. Very well done.
Oh, well, that'd be fun. He teaches you the different localizations of languages for Deadlock things, and you're like, oh, nice.
That's sweet. That'd be really good. There's like a little game like that, actually. It's like a full JRPG that teaches you Japanese. That was kind of sick. I like that idea. They brought that to Deadlock. I'd love that. I'd be a huge fan.
Be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Or what would it be like? Akai lane, but there's no red line, so it's over for me. Do I actually... Owie lane. There we go, blue lane. Done. I've mastered it. Duolingo bird sorted me out there. I think I completely butchered the pronunciation, but there you go.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's Learning Japanese with Blank, a new segment we're potentially adding to the podcast. We're thinking about it, but there's been a lot going on this week. We're back here to discuss it.
Workshop it. Yeah, we are. We're here to discuss it by audio format, directly into your brains by your ears.
This is for the people that always say, I listen when driving, which that's fine. I think, like obviously listening and driving's fine, but maybe don't partake in the podcast. Like don't chat along if you're driving, because I suppose that would take more attention, could be dangerous.
He's chatting along to a podcast.
Some people probably, giggling away, being like, that's funny.
Oh, right.
They're having fun with it.
So I guess I do that sometimes. So when I'm watching some of my podcasts, I'll be like, that's a good one. That's a good one, Tom. And then it's like, he's not there. He's not there.
Out loud, like they're in the room?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I mean, can't help myself.
Oh, that's
Mr. Segura is a funny man.
Well, there you go.
Who do you listen to? What's your podcast of choice?
My podcast of choice?
Is it Dead Air?
I do occasionally listen back to bits, and it does make me tickle. Like if we're talking about certain things, we've talked about some very funny or sort of good moments over the past few episodes. Yeah, I look back now and then. But no, I think I listen to a lot of Triforce, the Triforce podcast.
Triforce?
Always, yeah, mate. The Triforce. Yeah, I know. I realised that sounds out of context. I nearly parried. I nearly hit a sick parry. I was just testing something.
Wait, what?
Yeah, dude.
You're in game right now.
Yeah. I'm like workshopping. I'm out.
Fine, I'm going in game as well.
You can go in game. It's one of those episodes. We can talk about it. It's a Deadlock, very, very Deadlock heavy episode. I hypothesize. So strap in. This is for again the people that drive and listen to the podcast, which is fine, and the people that really enjoy when we talk a lot about the game as well, because I know there's a mix. Some people enjoy a bit of everything, but some people they enjoy a bit of a game chat when they're driving around. Always driving, all these people, and they listen. They don't listen anywhere else. Blank. You can get a stats on Spotify tab now, and it tells me that 98% of our audience all listen whilst driving. Nowhere else. No one in the gym. No one shopping. Always driving. Is that real? No, sorry, I've lied.
Oh, no. You've lied to me. Right.
Yeah, I have,
do you know what I'm upset about?
Go on.
I've been playing so much Paradox recently, and I don't know if do you remember way back in the day, like when the game first came out? That's all I did. All I did was play Paradox all the time.
Loved playing Paradox.
I love playing Paradox. You know why I stopped playing Paradox?
Right.
Stopped playing Paradox because MKLS was on Paradox, and I was, you know what I was worried about? I was like, everyone's gonna think I'm a MKLS copier. I'm just playing Paradox because of MKLS. It's like I definitely wasn't the OG Paradox. But, I didn't want to play the character like what the de facto best player was playing. I was like, I've got to find my own niche. But I'm back on the Paradox now. I'm loving life. I'm having a good time. I actually have a couple of shorts I want to do on Paradox,
just
because she's super fun. There's loads of little cool things you can do. I think my favorite thing at the moment currently, and the fact that they haven't patched out the game also makes me mega happy, is I'm going to stream it to you, but essentially it's the heavy melee cancelling to give you like basically super speed, and it works really well with her 3 because that gives you innate speed boost, and then you can heavy melee cancel with items as well. But you can use that if you're in midair, like I do double jump, and then you hit one of those items into a slide and then just keep jumping. You go the distance is crazy on it. Like I can travel across the map so quick. And then a few other stuff about Paradox Ultimate cancelling. However, let's move away from that because I was playing a lot of Melee Paradox and all kind of workshopping some builds around that. I was away this weekend. I was away the weekend when everyone figured out that Bomb Paradox is the next big hit in the system.
The Echo Shard, crazy damage, just madness, mate.
They nerfed it. They nerfed it as soon as I got home. As soon as I got home, they nerfed it. So I didn't get to experience it. It really made me sad. There's a lot of info. Apologies.
Yeah. No, that's okay. That's good. What have I been up to? A lot of patch notice, a lot of editing, a lot of like rummaging around, seeing what's changed. Kind of cool. I was glad I managed to get all of the footage of every single everything I wanted to capture basically before they updated the Skybox again.
Oh,
so
dude, I know.
Like a couple hours where the game looked entirely different with the lighting changes and the darkness and the new Skybox, and then they tweaked it a bit. So that was a wild one. That was a whole.
Oh yeah, now I'm in the game. It actually is a lot brighter, isn't it?
Yes. So there was that initial patch, and then there was a hot fix. I had a comparison of all of it, but
so gloomy.
It's still moodier. And I'm still convinced saying there's some shenanigans going on with the Skybox. If I admit, my gut reaction to the initial change is one of the first times I've kind of been like, ooh, I actually don't like that. You know what I mean? I'm usually very positive with a lot of the stuff, but it was a weird one with the theme. I didn't like it. It felt so dark in game, and for some reason the fog looked incredibly bright. After doing more digging, it seems like the fog color was changed, and now it's just a bit more noticeable. And due to kind of, what they've done with the lighting and stuff, it just made it more abundant. It was really hard to see in lanes. Visibility felt a bit worse. And they rolled that back a bit and made it a bit brighter. I think it's a little bit better. I do miss the old Skybox though, but I feel like obviously we're probably going to get a different Skybox. That was the one from Caldera, and it was kind of still there as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously when that was converted from Neon Prime into the hybrid one for Deadlock to kind of figure things out, I think that's the one they came up with, and then obviously had all the lore about the Eclipse. But this one obviously just looks like a big yellow orb, so I'm not a fan of the Skybox as much. But the game's going to change loads. I think it's just more, it was very interesting to get all the footage of the fact that we're getting so many visual changes now, and that's cool. Like the game's certainly getting more of a thematic theme coming together, so...
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think right now, visually, the Skybox was so... It kind of gave... That a bit of that je ne sais quoi, you know what I'm saying? It had like a little bit of that summon, and it's funny how much I miss it compared to, like you say, the yellow ball in sky with some gloomy clouds, which I hope changes. I really do hope that they change that, because it did very much feel like, right, we got to change the Skybox now anyway, because I think they're doing a lot of optimization stuff. So it's likely less of a it's probably a viscous situation, right? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? A viscous situation, you get him out. You get him out now. He functions, and then you can tidy him up later.
Yeah. I know where you're coming from. I think so. I think effectively, but it's weird, right? There's so much to talk about this week. This is going to be a bit of an all over the place kind of Jacky and Blank having a ramble. So I think that's the way this is going to have to go, because there's a lot to talk about. I feel like we're just going to end up bouncing about. But contrary point to that, here's something that I think needs to be discussed. This is basically going to be a podcast ping pong, mate, for Deadlock subjects, I've realised. Because it was a weird patch. Like, it's a cool one, and there's a lot of interesting things that have changed. But there was some stuff that surprised me a bit, and I kind of, as you say, you're just sort of seeing what they're doing, because they're definitely changing some things a bit more than you'd expect as well. A lot more undocumented changes again, which we used to get little bits. But with this one, it was quite fun of how much stuff they haven't added. But you're adding things to the game files, the new monkey statues, some of the new kind of visual things, map layouts getting tweaked again. I feel like with everything they're kind of adding to, they're getting to a point now where the gameplay loop's pretty good. I know we say this every time, of course, but it is getting so good where it's so tight and it's so fun to play. And with you having ranked now open to people that wanted it, and even hero labs as a way where you now don't even have to ever think about having an unbalanced hero thrown into the public pool ever again, dude. Because it doesn't matter. They could just let everyone play in development heroes for the rest of the game's life cycle, and they've owned it. There's never going to be a broken, thrown into the deep end meta in public play anymore. So that's kind of crazy that Valve have done that. I think the game's just getting very close to where they can be like, all right, everyone can have a go. Just play, and then they'll just keep cooking in the background.
It's out now.
Yeah,
it's good to go. Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that 100%. Just because I think it's a problem that a lot of games have had in the past, especially where you add heroes to it. And this goes far beyond even just MOBAs, right? It goes even to all your gacha games, all your games that have they're just hero type shooters. Like you do get this case of power creep sometimes, but it does ruin the aspect of the game for about, I'd say like a week and a half, maybe. Depends on how quickly people are willing to fix that stuff as well. I mean, Valve is pretty hands-on right now with Deadlock. But if it's the case you can whack into Hero Labs, you don't have that guy who's like, I am picking Viscous no matter what in the next game, even though I've never played him my entire life. You won't have that much as much anymore. I mean, we did that. We were definitely responsible. Back when Viscous first came out.
Of course, but everyone
wants to play him. Everyone wants to play him. Yeah,
and that was the only way to play it, and that's how every game does it. But when you think about it, every hero that's been added to Deadlock has been kind of like OP as hell on launch, and then Valve fix it usually with the first minor update or even a hot fix that night sometimes, like if they're really on it and they're like, oh, this is kind of broken.
Like Shiv.
But but now it doesn't even matter, dude. They've effectively solved it for good, because right now we've got a bit of a janky version, but the intention's there, right? Like what Hero Labs is and how it works is kind of dope. But if you haven't played it, you have to choose 2 regular heroes, and then you can choose any of the other heroes and, of course, set priority. So usually if you have friends, you're playing with friends or whatever, you can be okay with it and kind of get heroes that you want or stuff like that. So you can play it, but if you don't get it, people immediately leave and they just don't play. In most of the games I've been in, it's very kind of toxic in that sense, because if you imagine some people have to play the regular heroes, but when it gets to a point blank where all of those slots are only in development heroes, then you could even think about, if a new character comes in, its kit's going to be broken, right? So it makes another character's kit invalid. Instead, you could put older heroes back into Hero Labs with different kits to test out updating them. So it's not even that drastic of an update, and add like all the in development heroes to Hero Labs, so everyone gets to play one new hero, out of all the slots, which you just rotate them out when they're done. And I know that kind of spoils the idea of some upcoming content, but it would make it very fair. And it's kind of cool. It's in theme with like how Valve's making Deadlock, right? Like they're making it with the community in a way.
Yeah, there's a lot of community aspect going on. I mean, even just like Mr. Yoshi and the rest of the team, like actually just communicating a lot in the Discord. They're doing that for a ton of time as well. Still something that's happening even now, which I thought would die out much sooner than it did, because I mean, back when it was about 3,000 people in the Discord, I think it was a lot easier to have a more in-person, like personal discussions about that type of stuff from a developer standpoint in a small channel. A little bit harder to do that now, but I mean, they still get involved. They're still reading. They're still taking part, and it's nice to see them that this is truly their baby, right? I mean, they're taking good care of it at the moment. I think it can only ever in the future, but this Hero Labs is a awesome way of doing new heroes, in my opinion, because it still feeds into that quality of what we've seen throughout the entirety of the playtest, which is a case of you are there for the development. You are there alongside, you're understanding why changes are being made, why they're being made, what needs to change. Because I think Shiv's a particularly pertinent one to this as well, because he is incredibly hard to balance. And we saw that with the last patch, right? The changes were not that aggressive. Let's be honest. The changes were not that aggressive to rage scaling and how much rage you could maintain by just taking shots over towards NPCs, making sure you're 100 rage in lane so you can take full advantage of all the abilities. However, it gutted him. Do you know what? I have a funny statistic about this as well. Give me 2 seconds and I can pull it up real quick. It's to do with his actual win rate. So his win rate over the week prior to that, when everyone was kind of just moving straight into melee Shiv, which is what people do with Shiv apparently. It's like, you nerfed his slice and dice build. Okay, we'll play bleed build instead with spirit scaling. Oh, you nerfed that as well. We'll just play melee Shiv instead. So there's always a way to figure out how to make Shiv broken just because of his kit. But they did throw in those couple of nerfs and his win rate dropped from 59% to 41% on average over a day, which is sort of incredible.
Yeah.
And it did show just how much people were abusing him who maybe didn't quite have the skill. However, the hero itself was just carrying a lot of those aspects of their player kit, let's call it that. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff. So they had to actually rebuff him again because he is really, really difficult to balance. But what's nice about that, going back to my original point, is that people understand that. People are very, very aware of that in the Discord. They're like giving nice suggestions of how they think that maybe he should be changed. And there is less people I see screaming, Shiv's OP, Shiv's OP, he needs nerfing right now. Yeah. And there's more people being like, here's a suggestion.
Can we do this? Yeah.
How maybe we could change it, because they've been there from the start. And even when the game releases, I think Hero Labs will continue to have a bit of that aspect of the community that's stayed alive basically throughout the entirety of development.
I think so. I actually think it's one of these where, again, I know it kind of always sounds like I'm just glazing Valve with these moments, but honestly,
it does, yeah.
For me, yeah, okay. But you know what I'm like. Like I've always been that guy. Like I love Valve. I've always thought the stuff they do is so sick. And again, though, the one trend that I see is that they always come up with a solution. It always feels like when Valve do something, there's a reason behind it, and they come up with a long-term solution, you know? Yeah, like they get to the idea in a weird way all the time, but I think that's part of the process of why it comes out the way it does. They're like an artisanal chef, you know? And I think Hero Labs is another one of those where you've kind of solved the problem that every game has in a really fun but cool way, where you even still give people a test realm, basically. And I've always liked that. I like test realms. I always thought Counter-Strike should have the idea of that, dude. We have like a test server and they push a huge patch because they could test ideas. And then if people don't like it, you don't actually have to add it. You know, like with Deadlock, right now it makes sense to just push the build live and then retroactively roll it back. But out of a lot of the patches we've gotten, there's been huge changes where an hour later it's gone because Valve just go, actually, maybe that one wasn't right.
Not great. Yeah. We made a mistake there. But yeah, I think it's super cool that they did introduce Hero Labs. I actually really like what you're saying about the test realms, because I personally think test realms are absolutely awesome. Fortunately, there is not a huge number of people who sign up to that side of things, right? They don't jump onto the test realms and be like, I'm going to play test realms today and I'm going to give my feedback across into like the actual public forums. They don't do that very often. Whereas here it's just built straight up into the actual game, so there's no need to reopen the game in a different build. There's no need to do that. It's already there. You could jump into it when you want, test out a new hero if you like the look of it. You don't have to be fully dedicated to it, but you're at least aware of what's going on in the future. So as a player who might be more casual, or a player who is basically ranked hero, let's put it that way, you could still just have a little go, you know, a little mess around and be like, that's pretty broken. And at least you're aware of it. And maybe if it gets to a point where, it might even get to a point where, even though you've never posted on the forums before, you might have a sick idea of like, how do I fix that? You might want to throw it in. I think opening that opportunity up to everyone and not just the people that get invited to the test realms is really cool way of doing it.
Exactly. You might as well make the most of the audience. And who knows? Again, that's the other thing, because it's hard to always know what really is going to last with a lot of tweaks when a game's in a position like it is with Deadlock. But something like that, I think, could definitely stick around for a long time. And it's very much Valve's MO. Like, you think about Left 4 Dead 2 and the way they had mutations in that. I always thought mutations was a genius kind of idea, where you offer something that just changes the rules of the game a little bit. So it's not even, it doesn't even have to be that crazy each time. You could just have like upside down Deadlock, or Deadlock but everyone's bigger and you get smaller when you die. But just modifiers that kind of roll around were always a fun idea. And the way mutations worked is always something I thought that they might transfer to other games. I think Deadlock's one of those that, having stuff like this, like Hero Labs and fun game modes alongside it, is super sick. It's, again, it's sort of come full circle, and it's in a cool spot of how they want to do stuff. But I like it. I think it's a fun system. Right now it's a bit unbalanced, where obviously some heroes are completely broken. Don't know how much of them you've played, but Calico, ridiculous. Like, the idea of her design, the fact she basically just puts those cats anywhere and they just, A, meow at you like no tomorrow, and B, just ruin you, dude. If you get tagged by her, it's GG. You hear the death meows and then you're done for. And that's Hero Labs playing against a Calico. Otherwise, it's very sick. Like, it's super fun. Holiday's unreal, by the way. I've been playing so much Holiday. She's effectively a hyper-aggressive Geist with a very similar gun, very fun sort of gameplay loop. The bombs are dope. I like Holiday a lot, dude. I got a lot of time for Holiday. Viper seems nutty, but also in a weird way. Like, you just aggressively slide. I saw Ugly Cold
the
Driller
3
as a
is
snake.
weird.
That was cool.
Yeah, I like that as well. I think Viper's 3 is one of the weirdest abilities they've introduced. I like it. And you'd be surprised the amount of time that I spent in Sandbox sliding up and down these stairs, going back like in a full circle.
Yeah, right. Just
fully building into built into Fleetfoot, built into heavy melee as well. I mean, anything and everything that could increase move speed as well as slide distance, I was looking at. And I just had so much fun, basically just sliding all over the place. But I can understand, especially the way that Viper's got like kind of a limited ammo count as well, where sliding...
That's your mechanic.
That's your mechanic, because you're taking full advantage of the unlimited ammo while sliding. Because I think even with Titanic magazine, for a weapon that fires as fast as it does, having 10 bullets in its initial starting mag, like, there is room for growth there, but not by a huge amount. So I think you really do need to take advantage of sliding. I haven't looked too much into the details, but I think that'd be a fun character to sort of give the Kelvin treatment of the gun's pretty damn good. The gun is pretty damn good, but it has that weakness of a low ammo count, maybe a high reload time on it. But you have to take advantage of sliding, which isn't always easy in the midst of a fight, to really pump out that big mega damage. Who knows what they'll do? But I like that they're experimenting with fun stuff, because this could have been a game where everyone just has, you've got your AoE ability, you've got your single target ability, you've got your defensive ability. It's like, that's an interesting one where it does again promote higher skill cap.
Yeah, dude, it's fun, because that's the thing. I don't want it to just be my skill shot, my passive, my whatever. I love as well. So with Holiday, it's the fact like you're literally running around, throwing down bounce pads, using her barrel. You go in like Batrider and basically kidnap people. It's so sick. Sometimes
have you seen the magic carpet move, by the way?
You just fly in, grab and peace out. That's it.
Yeah, it's the magic carpet kidnap. It's so awesome. Wrap them in a rug.
It's good so fun. Good.
I think Holiday's going to change, though, dude, personally.
You think Holiday's going to change a lot? I hope she doesn't change too much. I really enjoy her right now. I think Crackshot's actually good. When you get Crackshots off, dude, it feels so good. Like, her actual gameplay loop is very satisfying in terms of the way you deal damage and her movement especially. It's just a enjoyable character. They make you think, obviously, by the way, for context of what's happening whilst I'm just talking about this. I was saying these ranked games kind of easy and I'm not sure about it. Every game blank, I keep getting commended by my entire team nearly. I've just won us a game here where the team was ahead by a 10k soul lead. I just backdoored and rafed it to death. I took both shrines. I took both stages of the Walker. No one came home. And everyone on my team was just going, you go, Rafe, you go.
You go.
So that's what I'm saying. I think ranked a little bit unbalanced for me right now.
Yeah, those are not the games I'm having.
Yeah, I think I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, my games are very different to that. I find my games is just a case of it's just tough to like. Everyone knows that what they're doing. I feel kind of bad as well because I think some of the people I've been bringing into my bracket, like when we play casual games, I feel pretty rough sometimes because you get the old matchmaking. I think this is before they introduced the fixes to that as well, where it gives you a little bit more of a fair game in terms of who you bring into a lobby. And yeah, there might be a bit more smurfing but going on, but it still feels a lot less like...
The new matchmaking is supposedly obviously very better, and it makes more sense because it's one of those where it's just a lot more aggressive, you know. Before it's very lenient and kind of wacky how it was doing it, but this makes sense. And yeah,
I like it. I mean, it was just the point where... So this is something I learned very early on. It's just about like, you don't really want to melee the minions underneath your tower. I mean, it's great, but if you're on the stairway, it's very easy. And it's one of my favorite things to do to catch newer players off guard or people just haven't run into it too often. If you go for a heavy melee on the stairs, you can just pop out behind the gravestone, hit a parry, and then you just catch them off that way. And I was playing with a friend, and it almost felt like I was watching it in slow motion. When I watched them walk up to the troopers up front and go for a heavy melee, and I did feel bad at the moment as they kind of said you deserved that, and I was like, who am I? Who have I become? But then I realized that some people just have never run into that, because that's not something that you run into until much later in the leagues, like where people are doing that often, taking advantage of every little min-max type of thing. It's like predicting what someone's going to do underneath a tower and taking advantage of that. Like, for instance, there's just little things like you get tornadoed by a mirage. You preemptively parry that because it's likely 9 times out of 10 in a close range situation, early game, you're going to get parried. So I've parried multiple tornado punches from Mirage, not even look at the Mirage because it's just knowledge based at the end of the day. But I think those things come with time. And I do appreciate the fact that they're being a bit more aggressive on the matchmaking side of things, because it did make it before I just couldn't really enjoy my casual games. I was logging on my alt. If you see my alt Steve, say hello. He's the only way I can really play with friends right now.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. Good old Steve.
I've been deep in the solo queue realm for a while. I've been like, it feels like it's Goku when he's basically just power training. You know, I'm under the zero. Well, no, the maximum G.
You're in the hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just grinding it out. Like yes. So I don't know. My ranked games have been surprisingly just very, very roll. And they were kind of close, dude. I think a lot of the games I had during the initial ranked placement, when it took your normal elo into account, I had some close games there, and that was fine. Now it's just so easy, and it's a bit weird. So we'll see where I get placed next week. But I imagine again, it's going to be teething issues with the first few weeks. But I do enjoy the ranked system. I think the way it works is very cool. I was telling you, I think about it in the sense that if you imagine there's a major update for Deadlock every 2 weeks, you get basically 2 like 1 week little seasons of Deadlock within each patch, which is obviously just how you think about it rather than the way it's really designed. But it makes sense like that. Like, I think it works. And also then you don't have the despite of, some people mentally won't play ranked because they just go, I hate seeing the number go down. Like, you just feel bad. It feels like you're just losing. Whereas you don't see your numbers go down or up here. So you just get rewarded with like yay, I improved the next week, That's how more I would think people should think about it.
Yeah, I think so. I think we talked about this a little bit before the podcast started, but it was a case of, I personally think for me, like, currently with the way Deadlock's been going in terms of my solo queue games, I do not belong around Ascendant just breaching into Eternus level. I genuinely believe that. I think I had high hopes of getting towards those levels, and I was happy at first that I was playing in that bracket. And now after, but this is the good thing. After being forced to play those games time and time again, I have learned so much from those matches. But still, I realize now that I probably don't belong there. Like, I think I could be knocked down a couple of notches and probably have some more consistent games, because it's not like I'm throwing those matches, but I'm not carrying as many as I'd like either. So it's just one of those cases where it's nice to play in that league. I've learned a lot. I realize my level's not quite there yet, and likely next week I'll be placed in a league that's a bit more familiar to my territory, and I can work my way up from there. But it has meant that I've had to adapt and survive, as opposed to get dropped back down into a game where I'm like, I don't like it where it drops you back down and you're like, oh, this is more comfortable for me to play, and sure, I'm having fun, but I don't really feel like I'm challenging myself at all. I don't know how most other people feel about this, but for me, it's like I have the most fun when it is really that survival situation. You know, top's torn, I haven't eaten in 3 days, I haven't had a scrap of water, but you know, I'm alive. I'm alive right now. I'm still kicking.
I think that's fair. You want fun, close games, when you want to be thrown into the deep end with it. So I think, again, dude, like, Deadlock's just sort of getting all the little bits and bobs, and there's stuff to do, and it's fun. And it's one of those games as well now where actually having sort of the different rank leagues is really good over a longer period. Because once it's sort of settled down and you're climbing, imagine if it did get to a point where the ranks were actually relatively like filled out and there's enough people distributed over them that there's meaningful matchmaking. You kind of are climbing if you're coming in and could notice like, oh, I've played like 100 hours. I'm getting up the ranks, 200 hours. And it's each week. So you never feel like, oh, I've been stuck on this badge for years. You know, it's more like, oh, what's my badge going to be? Then you keep on going. It's fun. But it's good. It's good.
I think that what they could probably change, which would be a nice change in my opinion, is more like a midweek season. Well, midweek league, where it's maybe you have it on a Thursday and a Sunday type of deal. That's when you get your new ranking, and then maybe pull down the amount of games, something like that, because it does. Admittedly, I really like the league format. However, a week does feel like a long time to get your next bracket. Does that make sense?
See, weird. I've been hearing people saying that they would even want it longer, where it's either like, you know, make it like a month or make it 2 weeks.
Like a season.
Like, yeah, right. But I don't know. I just think at the minute it kind of works with this format. If you make it shorter, does it even really need to work in that way then? You might as well just tell people what their elo is if you're making it that short. You know, I think the idea is to break up the distribution of ranks.
Yeah, maybe.
So you can tune it a bit more. There must be some kind of reason behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm very curious to know. I'm not sure. It's like I said, it's on one side of things, I'm a big fan of it. On the other side of things, just like I'd like to see how far I'm climbing. And again, I don't quite have my rank yet. I get mine tomorrow. I'm very excited about it. So again, it might just be a case of I need to wait for that. When I see what league I'm in, maybe I'll feel different about it. I'll be happy to play in that week's league and then see how much I climb the next week. A bit more of a long-term thing. It does kind of take a lot of stress off, though, as well, I'd say.
That's what I mean, dude. You can just play carefree. It's not like, oh, God, you know.
I've gone down 49 league points right now. It's the worst.
It's really stressful. Like, it can get to people, you know?
Yeah.
It's ruthless stuff. I even remember like way back in the day, dude, some games where you'd have those sort of like league formats or things like that. Like it would irk you where you're just like, that was it. That's my rank hop game. You know?
Yeah.
It's gone.
It's gone forever.
Yeah, like your day's ruined. And it might make you either not want to play it or like, I know some people that do actually get like ranked anxiety in other games, where they won't queue because of the fear of like, what if I lose or what if I ruin the game for 4 other people? It's a real thing. So I know, I empathize. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, I guess. But the hours and the time slots, I get it as well, because you're not trying to fragment the player base. You want people to be queuing and everything, so you limit the times. But I'd like Hero Labs to be a little bit longer. Or maybe, like, I don't know, it's some sort of game mode that comes around on the weekend and it's open the whole weekend or whatever. But
I think ranks kind of the thing they're working on right now and getting that sorted out. I think Hero Labs is good. So they just have it open for that short period of time because they'd like feedback on it, but I still think that because they're upping the hours on ranked as well on the weekends. This is kind of thing they want people to be playing and looking into. Hero Labs, I do think 2 hours is kind of short. It is kind of short, let's be honest. But yeah, I think a lot of people do want to play it.
Yeah,
I have been messing around with Holiday, by the way, whilst we've been talking.
Oh yeah, you trying it out?
Yeah,
okay.
I have. I maybe agree with you. I like what they've done with the bounce pad. Okay, so I thought it said sends you and your horse flying. It says you and your heroes. I was like, she's got a horse now.
Deploy the horse.
Deploy the horse. Where's the humps? But yeah, no. So what I'm thinking about.
Don't hurt yourself.
What I've been thinking that she's probably going to be one of the strongest gankers in the game, other than Lash, because
she fucking is fast, isn't she?
Yeah, well, I mean, she does only have 2 stamina to start with, but imagine you walk into a lane, you bounce pad down, you bounce back towards your tower, you lasso midair.
Oh yeah,
it takes you such a far distance as well.
Yeah, dude, it's really good. It's really good, and the bounce pads are off cooldown so quickly that they're incredibly satisfactory to use.
Yeah, the only I mean, it's 20. It is 30 seconds, but for the movement you get, it's kind of good, and they stay down for a while. The only thing I don't like is that when you lasso and you use the bounce pad, they don't actually take damage from the stomp when you land. I think that should be changed, personally. But
wait, say that again. Sorry, when you lasso and you stomp, they don't take damage. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. So say you lasso. So this is how I imagine Holiday playing on a gang, because you move in behind them, you drop bounce pad, you grab with the lasso, you land. But when you land, because they are hovering like a little bit off the ground because of lasso, they don't take any stomp damage when you land off the bounce pad.
Have you got the stomp at max level?
Yep.
Weird. I don't know, dude. I thought it.
You try it out.
I know. I thought it did work that way when I did it before. But
I'm gonna test it again. Yeah, no damage. Oh wait, maybe there's the stun's definitely there. Where's the damage? Let's check. Yeah, the enemy. No. That's just the lasso stun.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know, mate. But yeah, but also you. Well, yeah, effectively, I thought it did work like that. But if it doesn't, anyway, the combo is quite fun because obviously you can hit them with a barrel, or you can sort of pull them back, throw the barrel at the floor, then jump down and ground pound. You can probably even cancel it so that it drops them into stun if you impact at the right time.
I don't think
and then barrel them.
From what I've looked at, you can't cancel lasso once it's going.
No, really?
Yeah. I'm doing some theory crafting right now. Yeah, there's no way to cancel it during lasso. It just has to run out. Weird. Very weird. But I think that's an easy change because I think that is like part of the kit. You get behind, you kind of do the lasso kidnap with the bounce pad into the rest of the team.
Yeah.
We'll see. I hope that changes. And if it does, I will be pleased.
We'll see. We'll see what they do. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think she's just really enjoyable. She's a good character. Magician, I also like the idea of. I don't know. Obviously, in practice, he's going to have to change a lot from where he is now, and he's missing a lot of stuff. Like his kit has like paradoxes all and things like that. Like he's pretty bare bones. But I do like the idea of Magician. Have you seen like his lore and stuff?
I have seen the lore about his wife.
Yeah, like the stage act.
Yeah,
I think
that's kind of cool.
I also do enjoy his gun. It's weird as well. He had his own animations because he was a very early like test model for.
I think
Wraith.
he was the original Wraith. Yeah.
But they gutted his animations and gave him Seven's gun and Seven's animations when they added him, obviously, which is interesting.
I mean, he shoots cards.
Yeah,
I'm imagining that gun's gonna go then like a custom hand animation. That'd be cool.
Yeah, just throwing out cards would be very fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's kind of dope. So I like his. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's like pulsing shock or something like that. But his he basically has like a magic missile that you can redirect.
I'm just using it now. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Ooh, how have they programmed that in? That comes straight back.
Yeah, it just snaps to wherever your crosshair is.
Yeah, but that kind of funky with the way like the physics works. Or like, that's so cool. I don't know how they've done that. I mean, I respect it. I like that. Just the way the pathing on the bolt works, I guess, is the interesting thing because.
And the good bit is,
I don't know if it prioritizes heroes, something like that. Maybe.
It shoots 2 as well, by the way. If you have the Spectral Assistant up as well, anything you do is mirrored by them. So your gunshots, your spells, and then you can fast TP too. So his kit's fun. He also turns people into rabbits.
So this is Geist's model on the Spectral Assistant, but what I'm imagining is that this is going to be his actual wife. His
Spectral Ghost wife, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's very fun.
That's a lot of damage, actually. No, level 1. 230. I guess that is max level. Damage amp at plus 25%. What? That is wild. Okay. That's an interesting character.
Fun. Yeah,
he's very fun.
Cool. Calico is broken. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen it, it's the pocket frog for his like hex where he turns them into rabbits. It's
the cheetah frog as well. So it's everything. It's everything these days.
It's the deadlock frog.
It is. All right, let's see what we got. Because we were testing. I was testing a couple of mates Calico the other day, but it seems a couple of things have changed. Queen of Shadows was on 3. By the way, I think it was a Necromata Ward used to be her ultimate. And Queen of Shadow used to be a 3, and it would make you invis during dashes only, like a short time after the dash. So now it just keeps you invis the whole time. Does it still increase damage to melee damage? Yeah, reduce bullet resist. I think it's the crazy. I guess the bullet resist reduction is sort of nuts. Minus 15%. Plus 30% stamina recovery, 40% movement resist, damage amplification of 40%. She is hella busted then.
Mate,
that's
she
wild.
Is unbelievable. And the way she plays, your turrets can be placed absolutely anywhere. There's cats underneath cars. If there's anywhere you could think they might be, they are. And they just beam you to death. You like walk out in a lane, you tag her once, she shoots back at you. Suddenly you hear, wow, wow, and that's just it, dude. It's like the cats of doom have spotted you, and good luck. Like you don't even get far enough back before the beams have just ripped your eyeballs out.
The beams are pretty strong. How many of these can you have it down at one time?
Unlimited, and they last forever.
No, it can't be real.
Yes, dude, 100% real.
I've got like 4 out. I've got 6 out.
Yeah, and they can be placed anywhere. Look like you can place them literally anywhere. Inside, like pathing, under cars, inside vans.
Can you?
Yes, yeah.
This
Unless they've
insane.
already tweaked it, which I don't think they did, and it wasn't in the notes. Yeah, dude, it's nuts.
Oh, you can put them on the side of walls.
Yeah.
What is this? Are they invis?
Yep, no one else can see them.
Well, this is fun, isn't it? I think I've just seen her 1, her 4, and Pounce, but I didn't look too much into the cat turrets, the cata turrets. Yeah, that's nuts. I like that. She looks fun. Looks very much up my alley.
Yeah, she's good. She's really good. Like she's so strong.
I'm gonna have to leave the sandbox now because the sound of all those cat turrets is killing my ears.
Yes, you can see what I mean about that. But yeah, like all in all, dude, the new heroes are fun. I think it's good. I think it's a very cool area that Valve have gone down with the Hero Labs. Like, I don't know, I like it. All in all, knee-jerk reaction to the patch is I still didn't really like the Skybox, and I'm getting used to the lighting, and it's certainly grown on me.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much a strong, like, anti-new Skybox guy. I still don't love it. And then I think outside of that, like gameplay changes, actually playing with it and now having a few days, obviously, to play some Deadlock as well. I don't think anything gameplay-wise was that bad. Yeah, Shiv, you could definitely tell he's been absolutely battered. There's the new hotfix that came out as well. If you looked over that, obviously Bebop's changed again.
Yeah.
Ern's changed a little bit. There was a few things.
Yeah, I'd look over that one this morning. I believe it came was it 1 a.m. or something ridiculous?
It's like 2 a.m. last night for me.
Yeah, so I look over that one yesterday. I think the Shiv one was necessary because they really killed Shiv. And they needed to bring him back to life a little bit. Majestic Leap was the point where it was sad. It was sad to use. 45-second cooldown on that bad boy. I appreciate that you can cancel it mid-air now, which is really good. So there is some counterplay to it, as opposed to just having to watch. What is it? The Willem Dafoe meme where you have to like look up and just watch as this lash glides above your head before he hits his ultimate. So that was nice. Definitely stops people from abusing that. I think I showed it off in a short recently with the Majestic Leap. When you hit the second press on it and then jump afterwards, you're just kind of maintaining a lot of the momentum that comes off the back of it. But if you can spot that early, you can cancel it. But yeah, the Bebop one's a difficult one for me to make too many comments on, though, because I get that the bomb's strong, but it's more the ultimate that kind of throws me to 6, honestly. But sticky bomb damage per stat increased to 3 to 5%. I wish they would stop making Bebop strong.
You don't like strong bop?
I don't like strong bop. It's so oppressive. It's really oppressive in lane as well, because there's not much you can do, because he kind of acts as he's an active deterrent in lane when he just runs up to you, because it's like you can't really fight him, because he's already, as soon as he hits the bomb on you, he's already won the trade. So you kind of have to backpedal the entire time. I do find it just to be sort of, it's not bad, it's just an unenjoyable matchup, if that makes sense. And there's so many more fun matchups in the game to go against. Like Haze is pretty fun because you want to take short trades with her. You're kind of dashing out the way of her knives and stuff like that. So there is counterplay to her, but equally she could just own me if she wanted to. Stuff like that. With Mo and Krill, you kind of just don't want to get up to it in his face. You can deny Burrow by just getting on high grounds. But for Bebop, it's like he just runs at you. He's like, the counterplay is to walk back. Like, to me, that's like, I don't really like it.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah. I don't know. I don't entirely despise laning against Bebop that much. I think his bomb should have some kind of, sort of focus on them. It should be viable. And I think obviously it does get nerfed a lot, and then it gets brought back up, and that's kind of the vicious cycle for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't hate it. I think, again, like he's one of those characters that if he didn't have like kind of weird, cool gameplay with the bomb and it wasn't a bit strong, it would suck. I just think
he's definitely a poster boy for him. And he deserves to be such a cool character. He's got such a fun backstory, and you can tell there's a lot of care and love put into him. Like, I think he should remain strong throughout the entirety of the game. And he did fall off for a while. We just basically didn't see Bebops in the game. But yeah, I think they've made a lot of changes to him. And his hook's not as strong anymore, so maybe his bomb does need to be brought up.
Yeah, but that's the thing I find weird as well. Is it is kind of odd actually that he's more a bomb character than he is like a hook character. You know, I know they obviously synergize well together, but it always felt like it should be the hook that's kind of the gameplay defining thing.
Yoshi's just sick of everyone calling him Robot Pudge.
Yeah,
like,
but I think
I'll
that's
show
fine.
you.
That's weird, because to me, I think that's like exactly what he should be. That's why I was like, like this guy's sick, Because even in the sense that I think if you... I don't know. Do you remember the change where they made it so like his hook would just instantly kill any creep that was in front of it? So that would basically literally be Pudge hook, and you could kind of send it through geometry to... Well, not geometry, but like creep waves to get the hook off. And then also the change where you could alt fire to only hit teammates and shit like that. I thought all that stuff was cool, dude. I'm surprised a lot of that stuff kind of like went in and then just disappeared after a while.
Yeah,
maybe I'm not the best soundboard for Bebop changes, but I like that stuff. I thought that was cool.
I think the alt cast was a fun one, but I think a lot of times pressing alt cast in the middle of like a fight where it's like a do or die moment, I was like, I need to hook this guy back in, otherwise he's dead. Genuinely, even when I played Bebop for a long time, I don't think I used the alt cast very often. And I think that it just got to the point where it's like, well, we've kind of lost that usability factor of him also being able to save his teammates. They just took the alt fire out. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but right now it doesn't work all that hot. So I like that change on it. I do think that the speed on the hook and the way that Deadlock plays, I think it is a good idea to require him to have some kind of outplay where you can play behind the minions. It got sickening in lane. I would like sit behind every piece of geometry whilst you're playing against a Bebop for fear of getting hooked and the insect back into the tower, into the Guardian. You're just like, right, well, can't do anything here. And I think that is that's the key problem, is that he zones so much in the lane, the point where you don't really feel like you're playing Deadlock. And although the character's really fun, you also don't want a hero in the game that is just not fun to play against. That's the core thing that I'm trying to get at here, is that you're still trying to make characters that are not only fun to play, but also fun to play against.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I think that was the difficulty.
As much as obviously it's not like as bad as Dota, where like, you know, it's a lot more of the game before you kind of roam, it's a bit more rigid. You know, your lane is your home, and if you kind of have a bad lane
it's like
matchup,
10 minutes sometimes. Yeah,
it can ruin things, and it's becoming a bit more rigid now. Like with how they're changing the resistance on Guardians and stuff, you're trying to find a way to define the laning times a bit more. You know?
Yeah.
Like
right now it's roughly 7-8 minutes, right? 7-8 minutes in lane, and it gets 7-8 minutes is a long time. It's
nowhere near as bad as some games, but yeah, like I think that's pretty like it's lengthy for some of the people's attention spans out there, bro. 10 minutes in a lane, you mad?
Yeah, bro.
Like I want to rotate.
Well, dude, 10 minutes in a lane in, let's say, League or Dota, maybe not Dota, but let's say League. This is not to put it down on any League players, because I think League is a game that requires a lot of skill to play, by the way. But again, your laning phase in League kind of more chilled out. I think you'd agree with me on this one. It's kind of more chilled out. You're doing a lot more farming. You can sit back more of the time. Whereas in Deadlock, there's always something to be doing. I think it's such a high APM game that like 10 minutes in a lane, it feels like such a long time, because it is mentally taxing to constantly be, was that a good trade? Do I make sure I denied that trooper? Make sure I picked up the last hit on that soul? Am I breaking the boxes? Right, the jungle spawn, I need to go take half of this camp before I move back to lane, and like split my attention between that. It's a huge amount of time, and then whilst also worrying about playing against a character that just makes the lane unfun. That's kind of what you want to avoid. And again, it kind of leads into the next hero that did get quite a few changes recently, is Grey Talon, because man, that guy used to be a problem with his charge shots. I mean, we were complaining it right at the start.
We used to moan about it.
We were proper whiners when it came to Grey Talon.
We should make it smaller. That was us every week. Make it smaller.
Make it smaller. Make it dodgeable. And he certainly is dodgeable now. There's a bit more of a delay between the charge shot cast, so you can hit a preemptive dash, which is nice. But yeah, he got so strong the last patch. I mean, they introduced the bullet scaling and the attack speed scaling, and then it didn't really go anywhere. Then they gave him a few extra buffs, and it was like suddenly his laning phase is really strong, his mid game is really strong, and then his late game is unbelievable, because he becomes sort of like this weird spirit gun hybrid, which is a huge amount of damage that way. So I'm glad that they toned him down a little bit, because you definitely need a movement speed reduction as well on spirit scaling, because that guy, the whole point is that Rain of Arrows definitely gives you a lot of maneuverability, but the idea is it's more of an offensive tool. I think people were like very much able to use it as similar to how Vindictors use fly, and they cancel it early and they go far back, but the whole idea is Talon is he does a huge amount of damage. He's an oppressive character to play with, but he has low stamina, low movement early, and low escape options. The whole point is if you can catch a Grey Talon, he should be donezoed. But the point is that he can play really far back because of charged shots. So play around. It got to the point now where it's like man's moving at Mach 5 around the map. It's like you're never catching him. So it's just, that's a difficult one. But it's only minor changes. It's only minor changes right now. I think that was the main thing I noticed about these the nerfs and the buffs that came through during this like 1 AM patch. Is kind of very, very small changes that came through.
Just a little hero balance patch. We always get these. It kind of seems it's pretty consistent these days.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Again, like it's the little things that I've noticed that have been changing a lot at the minute.
Yeah.
Weirdly, it even feels like they changed the physics or the way that like Rafe's hair is kind of rendered for some reason. I don't know if that's just a bug with the current patch, but it feels like it's all janky. Like it's got more weight to it, and it kind of like the model like morphs into itself. I know that's a very small, obscure thing, but I just noticed it because I was.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
Rank. Yeah, I don't know if they've changed it to give it more weight and the model's broken because of it, or if it's just broken, you know?
Yeah, it's hella broken, dude. I'm like doing 360 whips with my ponytail right now.
Yeah.
That's not right.
I noticed that.
Who else would that be applicable to? Vindicta?
Vindicta seems okay.
No, Vindicta's also broken.
She's also broke? Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have just given more weight to hair in general. Like her hair is now wrapping around her waist. It's not nowhere near. I think this is working a little bit more as they intended, but it feels thick and heavy. So
yeah, I know exactly what you mean though, and that is very true. That's how it feels at the minute.
Who else?
So maybe they're actually adding some sort of like hair. I don't know if it would be a shade. It wouldn't be a shade. It'd be like weight or physics or something. You know what I mean?
About
talking of
Mr.
that,
Shiv's hair. Oh, Mr. Shiv's hair does it too.
Really? Yeah, that
weird.
I can see it wobbling around actually in game.
Yeah, weird.
That's fun. So they've added some kind of hair tweak or something to do with the models and hair is broken. It's one of the two, but it's kind of interesting. If you imagine if it looked like different,
I think you can tone it down a bit. It'd be cool. Yeah. I think it needs toning down. It's just kind of aggressive right now.
Yeah. In that vein as well, what do you think of the new shader? Obviously, they've added basically a global hero shader now. I showed off a comparison of it on the latest video, but obviously everything's a bit brighter. That's definitely grown on me. The more I look at it, the more it feels a bit like Mike Magnolia Hellboy style, which I've always been a big fan of. So I don't mind if we're ending up more cell shaded and stylized. Long term, it will probably look pretty cool, and it will help with silhouettes and they look nice. You know, maybe it doesn't need to be real. I think my knee jerk again with that was like they're getting rid of all the character shadows.
What's going on?
Like actually, but it looks nice. You know?
Yeah, it's very much a good enough. Welcome back, Borderlands 3. For me, when I first saw it, I was like, I have always enjoyed cell shading in general. I think in Deadlock it works really well. And again, I don't know. I think that they've got one of the most unique art styles right now on the block in terms of like a competitive like online game. Yeah. Which is very cool. I know a lot of other games have tried stuff like this. I mean, Smite's a good example in terms of like unique art styles, but I think just Deadlock has its own little thing. Like, I don't know. It's just there's nothing quite like it on the market.
It's fun, dude. Like, you don't really get that much occult kind of like, you know, competitive shooters. And
yeah, whoever had that idea is fucking genius, by the way.
Like when they had to pivot, coming up with this and also finding the balance as well of it. It's not quite Shadowline, where it was going to be a whole lot more gritty and even some of the stuff we saw of that, right? Like the old Ivy texture, where she very much is this, like, you know, gargoyle, demonic character. Now it's like, hey, it's Ivy. You know, she's become a mascot that people root behind. Kind of nuts, dude. Like the game that we ended up with, but
it just makes me laugh. Like thinking, like in the office when that came through, we were like, "What about a cult? You know, like alchemists and ghosts and stuff like that." And then everyone in the office like, "Oh yeah, I quite like that idea, Bob. Yes. What about in New York? The cursed New York? What do you think about that?" And I just like to think that it all happened in the space of an afternoon one day. Everyone just sat down and was like, "We've got to change this." Someone came out with this crazy idea of an occult landscape, and
like,
it was just so easy.
How do we pivot then? Like, where are we gonna take it? And you're just like, I don't know.
Ghosts?
What maybe about that? Like spooky New York. They're like, all right, sounds good.
Could do, yeah.
But what do we do about the map? Just spooky New York. Just make it a bit.
New York. Give it some tendrils of smoke around that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
good,
keep doing that. Keep doing that.
And what about rather than being like big
shop
robots, they could just be like, gods and that from a different realm. Yeah, that's nice. That's not bad. Yeah.
It's just like one afternoon.
Yeah.
Deadlock was created. I'd love to understand the story behind that. Maybe in the future we can actually get someone from the team on. We can talk about it.
Yeah,
that would be
crazy.
Awesome. We could reach out. I'll reach out.
That'd be really cool. That'd be a fun episode.
Because I think even if we just get to ask them how it came to be, like what was the... Because we can speculate all we want, and I think that, the people over the Deadlock hit modding server, you boffins over there doing all the Lord's work. I think those guys have figured out a great timeline. You've looked at the timeline as well through Caldera, and we have snippets and we have little bits of info of how things change slowly over time. But it would be nice to hear it from the mouth of the horse.
Straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which ironically, I do remember once doing an event where someone asked that on an interview, and then the player said, "Why did he insult me?" They were like, "No,
he's not calling you a horse.
He's not calling you a horse." Like, he was like, "Oh, yeah,
you're like a stallion." He's saying you're a stallion, like a proud stallion,
like you've just won the race." And so that was amusing. But yeah, dude, I think that would be sick because there's a lot of stuff that would be interesting to get the ideas behind. It's just funny that obviously these are ideas we talk about now as if, it's all said and done, but it's just happening, isn't it? It's all still changing so much. And the game's changed a boatload since when we first got in and sort of hypothesizing about what's going to happen. It's funny, really, because so many left field changes started to occur that it's gone from me being like, rank probably isn't what they're focusing on right now, to more being like, I think they're probably gearing up to just remove the invites. Like, it seems like they're just... the game's getting to a spot where there's stuff for everyone to do, and Valve will just keep polishing it until they're happy.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm curious about as well, because I mean, if you're a listener that's got to this far, thank you so much for listening. By the way, I really appreciate you coming back there time and time again to listen to us waffle on. But I am curious about you guys at home, like, if you've been listening to the podcast, when did you actually get an invite to the game? Like, let us know. Was it a week ago? Was it a month ago? Was it 2 months ago? I'm curious because I think that is one of the big things that although the player base has been on a slight decline over the period it's been out and been available and been public, like the core player base has stayed pretty strong so far, which is nice to see. But I am wondering if it's a case that everyone who wanted to be invited has now been invited. I'm sure there's going to be the odd 2 here and there that want to get in.
I wouldn't think so, because I think even with the nature of these, dude, I know people that have been invited, but just haven't got the invite to get in, or like that period of staggering, or even just the loops of sometimes having to find the email, the Steam pop-up. There's a lot of people that just don't know, and a lot of people that just don't have any marketing, because obviously Valve don't really push stuff traditionally with marketing, right? They haven't marketed since like Portal 2 or maybe Half-Life Alyx, I don't know, but
it's out.
Yeah, they just
but
kind
that's
of
what I'm thinking.
Just
put it out there, because I think the more people who just have easy access to the game, and I know that getting an invite and just clicking the button being like I accept is pretty easy, but that's maybe 3 or 4 extra steps that some people aren't willing to take on a game. And although everything is free, which struck me pretty massively the other day, I think some people just haven't had the pleasure of being able to play the game yet, and I absolutely think that everyone should give it a go, because it's
very fun.
One of the best developing games currently on the market, I'd say.
I think it's right now the best prospect for the future of these type of games, or like even just, the new sort of way that it's done. But it's basically it's the hot thing. Like Deadlock is the in thing and looks to be the in thing for a while. If you want something to play and something fun, to get in at the ground floor, I think it's in a very good spot where it's just, Valve always put a lot of care into the stuff they make. You can see this is a game they really do enjoy developing with how it changes. There's always new ideas on that team as well. People are active. I don't know, man. I think Deadlock's just really good. We enjoy it so much. We got gripped by it even back then when it was a very different game. It's weird how much it has changed, actually, over, a short space of time.
Yeah, that is something to talk about as well, just in terms of how much the game has differentiated like during this playtest process, because so many things have changed. There's been weeks where the game just doesn't feel like the one that I was playing the week before. It's not a bad thing, so to say. I think there has been a few times where I've been like, oh man, this is jarring. I think one of my most favorite changes recently, though, because I was thinking about this for quite a while. I mean, the deny system is really cool, and it is a necessary system to get ahead in a lane where you are brutalizing them, but there is a lot of these mechanics in the game with jungle, with box maxing, as it's been called recently, which I really enjoy, earn maxing. There's lots of ways to get back into the game, so denying is one of those ways to keep your opponents down in lane and keep that soul count low if you've got complete control. And I mean, it's not even a case of just being better aimers a lot of times. It's more of a case of you've got such dominant control that you can force them back underneath their guardian where they're nowhere near their troopers, so anything that they're able to pick up, it's always just going to be that first burst of souls from just getting the last hit on the trooper. I was like, it does feel pretty aggressive at times, though, to the point where, I have seen games where some unfortunate fellow has been on 1.2k compared to someone with 4k that's against them, just because they've not been able to get any souls. But my favorite change recently was that 60-40 change, where you get 60% of the souls on the initial last hit, as opposed to 50-50 on the last hit and the soul confirmed. So it does mean that even if you're getting absolutely whacked in lane, there's not a case of you're playing against two lane bullies like a 7 Geist lane. It's not like you can't come back from that as long as you keep getting the last hits on the troops. Maybe they deny some here and there, but it's not the end of the world for you. And these have been the tough decisions, because I think people have talked about denying souls for a long time now. It is pretty brutal, but those fixes aren't going to come straight away, and I think that is a wise choice from Valve, because denying is always going to be an integral part of this game, but that's a good way to make it less egregious, let's say.
No, 100%. I think, again, like they've been tweaking the denies so much, where you remember even when they added like the 1/3 system of the left, the right, and center on deny spawns, all that kind of stuff. Like they've always been trying to make the denies more fair ground, because for a while we knew, especially playing with any kind of minute ping disadvantage, you felt it. We used to play on NA when there was no EU servers, when EU would close.
We had no farm.
Yeah, and you just wouldn't get anything. You'd have to get out a lane and like fight. It was ruthless out there. It was a different style of Deadlock, and it can affect a lot of things. You'll see it especially in tournament play early on into Deadlock as well, because any kind of latency advantage would have a discrepancy on the game. So I like the Knights. I think it's a 6 system. Again, it's cool because like the way it worked in Dota, even though I didn't really play much Dota, I like that idea of like, oh wow, you kind of have repercussions. Even if you muck up, there's still a way to get ahead and pull back into it. But it was a lot of souls, right? Like the amount of souls you'd have to get in terms of playing for the denies, as long as you were good at denying, I think that kind of trumped being as proficient in your secures if you'd sacrifice one, maybe, as long as you were really denying them heavily. But I still like the system, and I think it's changing a lot and it's getting better. But I'm glad it's not gone anywhere. I'm glad it's only kind of been improvised on and changed, Because I think it's another big one about Deadlock, like the way the lane fights work, the way you get souls, how XP is also currency and shit like that. It's neat.
Yeah, I think there's like there's a cool case of just even the way they changed walkers as well. I don't even remember when it used to be a case where you destroyed a walker, all the souls would spawn out from essentially the same place. And so if you're a shotgun user like Abrams or Pocket, you could quite literally just pre-aim on that location, get every single soul on a deny, and it's like, well, that's about, what is it? I think it's 3,000 souls global just denied in the space of a second. So they made it all randomized now. So there is still opportunity to get a couple of those souls, but it's always leading back to the case of you're going to get a few of them, but it's almost impossible to deny everything from the enemy team, which is nice. It's like, they always have a chance to get a little bit of something. So if it's a game where, you're getting royally pushed in and you make a hero play on a Wraith or a Haze and you send for one of their walkers, you take it. Even if you get a couple of them, that's the sort of play that can get you back into a game, because they've changed it so all those souls can't just be denied as you make your sweet getaway, which is cool. And I mean, speaking of those latency disadvantages in terms of esports, it's really nice right now to see that you're having dedicated regions. I think before we were seeing a lot of get whoever you can into the tournament, because there's not a huge amount of teams. Like, we need EU teams and NA teams in the same tournament just to fill out a bracket. It's not the case anymore. You have quite a few teams, but I'm also super happy that it's EU is kind of taking the lead right now in terms of teams, which is good for me and you, Jackie.
Yeah. Not bad. It's not bad. Fun region. I don't know, man. It's just one of those where it's all changing on such an expedited scale, and it's cool. It's cool how quickly it's going. But yeah, it is weird how fast everything's sort of come and gone with Deadlock and the way the regions are developing. But I do enjoy it. I think again this week we saw a lot of weirdly how nice it is to be someone that's playing Deadlock at this point in time. You have a rigid schedule of something you can expect. There's always new things going on, bit of a variance in how to play the game, to watch as well, and it feels grassroots. It feels a bit different because everyone's kind of trying to see their own way of running a tournament, of displaying it, stuff like that. There's a lot of healthy competition at the minute. And I think it's very enjoyable to see, dude. It's kind of, again, one of the beautiful moments that you see in esports so rarely these days, where a game exists and the growth is organic, of people run things because they want to see it happen. We wanted to do a charity event, so we did. Someone wants to run a tournament event, so they did. Everyone's just going, I want to do something in this new game. And you see it happen. It's all coming to life, and it's very different and feels fresh. So it's kind of sick. Deadlock feels like it brought a lot of people together in a very unique way.
Yeah, big time. I mean, it's funny enough, I saw Sideshow streaming a bit of Deadlock earlier and learning it. I think he's on Vindicta. I think scoped up. I don't think it's the craziest character in the world, but
no, I think Vindicta is pretty rough right now.
Yeah, Vindicta needs a little bit of I don't know, maybe an overhaul or something like that. But yeah, it was nice to see him playing. I mean, that guy is a big time theory crafter. But yeah, it's just cool to see people take notice of the game overall. A lot of these people from different games as well jumping in on it. Even for us, I mean, we've been around since the start of all this, but it's super cool just seeing other people get involved now, because the game is really good, and I do want to see it grow to a more global audience. Is that the right way of saying it? Or just a more extended audience? It's nice to see it get the recognition that it deserves. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I think again as well, that's the other thing with Deadlock though, is it's just nowhere near I don't know, nowhere near as out there and as exposed as it will be as well with time. It's certainly going to keep getting more and more sort of growth to it as it's sort of developing so quickly and becoming such a new hit thing. I think it is gonna reach that fever pitch. I don't see how it doesn't, to be honest. It's a very, very cool game. Man, I don't know. I think right now it's just very sick that we even have an opportunity to sort of enjoy something like this as a modern release on average. We've been getting a lot of just kind of games, but I think games to a degree didn't have anything that sort of sparked joy, or where you're really deep into it and you're like, oh, this is sick. I want to grind this. I want to play this. Deadlock was one of those games that gripped us both so easily.
Yeah, I didn't want my money.
Yeah, and we just wanted to play it. We were like, dude, this is sick. It's just a game, and you just play and you'd learn more every game. I don't know. And back then, that was the 1 week patch cycles, and all sorts of shenanigans were going on. Stuff's coming in, stuff's going out. You're doing the hokey pokey. You're like, what is this? What game am I even playing? Where am I?
It was funny with the 1 week patch cycle. These patch notes are long, and
every week I'm there. Oh.
Yeah, 2 week patch cycles. It feels like they've only got longer for some reason. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they're pulling it off, but yeah, a lot to change, a lot to work on. A lot of hidden change as well. I mean, you can find out a lot more about those over on the Dead Eye channel, because Jackie's been doing a great job of doing the deep dive over there as well, over on Patch Notice, because there is a lot of there's a lot of stuff they just don't put in the patch notes, even though that thing is basically the Necronomicon of Yoshi, he still emits some little changes here and there that have gone through.
Yeah, not everything's in. And a lot of it is like smaller things or caveats or stuff that they just can't really display, right? Because it's like a lot of audio stuff changes. And then I'll even find other things because you get into a bit of a habit. Like you look in the same places, you kind of record all the footage, take all the screenshots. You know, I'm digging around in the maps, and it's interesting to see just how much they fucking change every patch. It's mind blowing. There's always new stuff that's going in that looks cool as well. You never know when it's going to get used. And it's
you see the gargoyle changes as well.
Statue? The monkey, the little gargoyle monkey statue. Yeah, I showed that bad boy off.
No, there's the new gargoyle changes overall. Like they used to have nothing on them, but now they have little neon green ridges on their back and little neon green eyes. Yes. There's all new stuff that they've added recently, which is funny. Also, you can kind of shoot out their right now. You can shoot out if you shoot them, it exposes what's ever behind them, because I don't think the texture's quite done yet. The bullet textures. Yeah, I actually think it just acts like a mirror, maybe. I think that's how it works. But yeah, so the texture's not done on those, but that's a change that I noticed that came through recently, which wasn't there before. It's just funny. It's just weird little changes. I don't know if I don't remember the trees being this vibrant either. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I can tell you for this, sandbox trees used to all be green. Now they're autumn themed.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. That happened on the patch.
Which you can tell, because I don't know if you knew this as well, if you shoot the tree, it drops out green leaves, which is not the colour of it. That's what they used to be. So that needs changing, Yoshi. Come on.
There's stuff going on. It's funny as well. I put a lot of little like weird oddities I found in the patch notice, and you always do enjoy it. But it's crazy how much stuff they do fix and how quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was funny.
It's all very interesting. I mean, I'm just super excited for the future right now, because I think between obviously we're getting through into Halloween period. It's spooky. This is your spooky episode, but we'll be heading into Christmas soon. People will go for their breaks, and then I don't know. It could be a Christmas release. Potentially. What I'd like to see is Christmas release with Christmas-themed Deadlock.
Deadlock
which
Christmas.
That would be awesome. I'd enjoy that. I don't know if that'll happen.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be getting a release, but I definitely think no invites. I think release fully is probably still a while away. You know?
Well, we said that about Ranked. We said that about it going public.
Oh,
we said that about a lot of things. I know. We said surely as well last time. I'm willing to let my hopes up a little bit. Get my hopes up just a little bit here. But probably you'll see way more big things going into the new year. But I think realistically, that's all I have to say about Deadlock at the moment until our next little Dead Air podcast, Jackie, I reckon.
Yeah, that's what you got.
That's all I've got for you.
That's what you got. That's it. You just had enough.
Yeah. Do you want more?
I don't know. It's up to you, mate. We can.
We do more.
We can. But
yeah.
I mean, I've been in this elongated rank game for about 40 minutes. We should have won a long time ago. Now I assume we're probably going to end up losing.
Well, you need to lock in then, really. Let's be honest.
I'm giving it. Yeah. That's not the issue. It's just it's not ideal. I give you that. It's not ideal.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but
the alt tab is not available this time.
Well, no, yeah. Well, it's fine. We'll do a little bit more of the podcast and then we'll wrap up. But yeah, I'm trying to think any other key changes or things that have happened.
Yeah.
What else has happened this week? Or, well, I suppose since the last episode.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to think. I can't really think of too many other things at the moment. I mean, we do have a couple of cool things on the horizon. And we'll get those out on the channel soon. Just waiting to be able to talk about them. They're not like huge, but they are pretty damn cool.
Yeah, there's stuff going on behind the scenes. There is certainly things being cooked. That is true. Yeah, I suppose last minute stuff. What else is there this week, listeners, that we need to tell you?
Maybe we could have a little we could have a listeners podcast in the comments. What are things we missed?
Yeah, Let us know. What did you like this week? What did you enjoy that changed? They changed Hayes' voice processing a little bit.
Again?
Yeah.
Why are they so
keep playing
unhappy with her raspy voice? I like it.
Yeah, they keep
Give me my raspy haze.
tweaking it a little bit, which is interesting.
Yamato's voice lines all changed. I need to listen to those bad boys again. Yeah.
You got the originals, and then the new ones are far more kind of anime inspired. It feels like it's a lot more exaggerated and like.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked like the nonchalant Yamato.
I think the new ones obviously indicate the visual changes that they teased a while ago and were concepting.
Yeah, probably.
It will fit that. Because if you imagine it, I don't know, I think there's a lot they could do. If she even sort of came back as some kind of like Pulp Fiction style, you know, for this, not Pulp Fiction, I'm thinking more Kill Bill. Is it Volume 2 where they have all the fight with the samurai and everyone's like going nuts and there's the blind girl with the sword? Like you could do some sick stuff, you know what I mean? If she's kind of like that mafia style assassin with a blade.
Oh, okay. I'm hearing it now. I'm seeing what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think maybe this kind of like matches the demonic. What was the demonic schoolgirl?
Yeah, the demonic like kind of
the tease. Yeah, that
type. Yeah, I think
that was cool.
I think so. I think there's definitely something to be said for that.
God, I need high velocity mags. That's upsetting me. 1 second.
It's what I mean. Yeah. Otherwise, what else? What you've got? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. That kind of actually is it. Really, there's not been that much else. All in all, big patch, hotfix already out. Bits and bobs going on. Yeah, dead air basically. That's what you get. That's what
you're getting some dead air right now. I mean, we used to go over the patch notes, but it was. We've alluded it for a while, and we kind of just going over some of the main changes because I think listening to Mr. Blank recite patches off and his crazy thoughts is just not the play anymore, Jacky.
Well, I think we've evolved. It used to take us like 2 hours. Now we cover a lot of it in different ways anyway. You've got the tweets, you've got the other stuff, and it's more, you know, there's other stuff that kind of we hypothesize about that we like to talk about now, I think, as well, that comes out. And they're not that crazy in terms of the gameplay changes. Like we've sort of given you the heads up on what we think's notable. Like quick roundup for that. Urn change, I think kind of good. I don't hate it. I think it's nice. I think maybe it sort of puts the urn a bit of a better place. They used to toy with the urn a lot more back in the day. So I'm not that surprised as well that they've gone for something a bit different there.
They need with the urn changes, it needs to be a little bit. I think what they need is an indicator when it's on your side. If it's be it on like the soul count at the top of the screen, or even just display. They also need to display where it's going on the map at that current time. That might be another way to do it because I know. They whacked in the patch notes that it's 10% now, and 10% is obviously way easier to calculate than 8% in game. But that's not something I think players should be trying to calculate. They should be just instantly knowing via UI feedback that like, look, it's our side on the urn. We can go for a play here and potentially get ourselves back up to speed.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Yeah, I think you can certainly add some of those iterations and change it a bit. Like indicators wouldn't be that hard to do. But again, I think this is a better one of the urn changes because it could get to a bit of a weird spot. Hell, I even remember the double urn. Double urn. That was a crazy.
Double urn was a good time.
Crazy period. That was like a week, 2 weeks maybe. That was a weird one.
2 weeks, yeah. It was long. And then they were like, whack it into the little treasure chest in the middle, more like a pirate's chest. Quite funny. I think that's when it felt most at its playtest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. This experiment things. It's kind of cool because they were like, here's a treasure chest. And then they made a whole change of like, here's where the urn goes now. It's all animated and stuff like that. It's so cool. And the urn's here to stay. I'm still hoping for more boss-like PvE stuff. In game, other than just the mid boss himself, who needs a name. Maybe he's just mid boss. Maybe he's mid boss forever. But yeah, maybe like something that's on the sides that people can fight over. Because I think even just buffs are up. You go take buffs. There's nothing really to fight over there. If you were there quicker, you get it. Maybe buffs are given off the back of a jungle kill, and it's a buff that's spread out between maybe the players are on that vicinity of the map. You split the map in half, you're on that side of the map, you get access to maybe a weaker buff. Just depends. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I think more of that kind of stuff would be interesting, though. Having a little bit more variance in it, potential things that you can, again, these kind of like micro things that affect the flow of the game, like how
just stuff to fight over. Because at the moment, it's just like a lot of games get totaled up pretty quickly, especially if you're ahead. Your whole goal is like, actually, we don't really want to do mid boss because we don't want it to get stolen until we're like a 40k lead, especially in pugs, and then we can do it then. I mean, it's very much different in coordinated play because like 3's down, you can immediately call to rest team, we're doing mid boss, and everyone falls on that call. It's not the same in pugs. I do think there needs to be just more stuff to fight over, more stuff for players to care about the enemy team not grabbing. So if you're behind, it's not a case of right, we have to wait until we have an opportunity where you get a pick and then we can do earn, or they're doing mid boss, do we fight this or do we not fight this? Those like your big decisions mid game, which I don't mind it. I think the core gameplay is pretty cool, but I just would like more things for a team to fight over, I guess.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I always thought that was kind of the indication of what they wanted to do originally, where you have, like the sewer boss and stuff like that. Yeah, but you certainly could, you could have obviously the difference in jungle camps as well to define them a bit more, where if one of it was maybe like a random sort of event that occasionally could happen, one of the jungle camps, like every 7 minutes or something, you have the big rat that spawns on this location. And it's a whatever chance that you get the big rat or you get a different jungle camp. And based on that, you get maybe a little incentive. Who knows? It's like, oh, dude, I got the rat blade, which lasts for 14 seconds. I'm going to use that as a one-time item.
Blade.
Yeah.
Damn, I love the rat blade.
Little rat tooth or something.
Yeah,
or you take down like a massive ghostly pigeon, get a buff from that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Again, it's just stuff like that. I think it would flesh out. I mean, the denizens are all very cool. But yeah, you're right. Maybe just having some variation on those camps, because we know they can. We know they can. Like whoever's on the art team is just doing unreal job with the map right now. But I imagine drawing and animating all these new concept arts for all the camps in the game, that's quite a long time thing to do. And unless they're doing some kind of gameplay change with that, it's not really a necessary change. Although they are changing all the skybox, they're changing all the how all the buildings look, which is awesome, by the way. Looking at these buildings and remembering how bland they were back in the day, so funny.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I remember even saying to you when I was like, yo, they're adding trimmings. They're adding like colored trimmings to the buildings. Yeah. And that was the biggest change at the time. But it's changed an awful lot.
I think this is just a general bug, by the way, Jackie.
The hair bug?
No, the bullet bug. It's the bullet holes. They're reflective for some weird reason. Why is that?
Because it just kind of dents the texture. I think it just puts like a little bit of a bump map on it, basically, to like.
It does, but that bump map like is now reflective for some odd reason.
Ooh.
You can check it in game. Maybe I can do it with like a Abrams.
How bizarre.
How bizarre. Who else would have like a pretty chunky bullet?
I
think change
maybe
your
Geist.
Viscous.
Yeah,
true. Do with
no, it's a
right
splatter.
click.
That's just a splatter, no impact.
Yeah. Does have impact. Oh, weird. Yeah, I don't know. That's broke somewhere there. Wonder what they're changing to affect these kind of textures and stuff.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Bloody hair and now bullet holes. What's going on here? Something's funky going on. Then again, I can't imagine too many people was like me, like got my eye right up against the screen staring at these bullet holes, being like, what's a bit shiny?
What we got there? What's going on there?
That's a bit shiny.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Probably not.
That's probably not too high on the prior list. I guess maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Okay, that's mostly everything, I think, from a big stance of the game. The game's been tweaked a little bit. Some rules have changed. You got new characters. You got hero labs. bits and bobs going on. But there you go. That's the latest episode of the Dead Air podcast. That's everything we had to talk about this week. We'll be back with more as per usual. We always are. I hope you've enjoyed this listening session. If you're driving, or if you're in the gym, or if you're playing some Deadlock, or wherever you are, whatever you're up to, everything's back, Blank. It's all going on.
We're all back in the building. So in the meantime, we'll see you out there in the cursed apple. Funny games. We'll catch you in the playtest.
Bye-bye. See you later. Also, one last point. Whilst we're letting you out the door, and I'm just sort of holding the door, we did one of these for 10k. We're now at 17.7k. So that's 27. So I thought that was cool, which is crazy.
77.
Channel's only getting bigger. So yeah, thank you for that. Nearly 20,000 people.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Maybe we can hit 20k by the end of the year, which would be a fantastic achievement. We'd be super happy to reach that number. And it'd be a number that we never thought we'd reach.
No, it just doesn't stop. Right then. Well, thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you later. I hope you enjoyed this episode. A whole lot of chat about ranked and the state of the game. It's in a good spot. And so are you, because you're listening to the Dead Air podcast. Rate 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. Goodbye.
Goodbye. You can leave the door now.
Bye-bye. I've got the door open now. You can go. It's fine. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, they're gone. Okay. Right. See you later.